thank you everyone for participating in this virtual event to mark the Memorandum of Understanding between Russell Sage College and Capital Region Sponsor a Scholar, a partnership that will strengthen educational opportunities for high school students in the Capital District. I am Doug Grews, Senior Director of Marketing and Communications at Russell Sage College, and I will be serving as moderator today. We will be recording the event this morning, and I'm happy to provide a link to that video upon request. Feel free to ask us questions in the chat or through the Q&A, and we will address them at the end of the program. Also, please provide your name and organization with your question. Our speakers today include Christopher Ames, Russell Sage College President, Laura Marks, Executive Director of Capital Region Sponsor a Scholar, and Ronell Royal Jr., a Russell Sage College student and Sponsor a Scholar alumnus. Let us start today with a few words from Russell Sage College President, Christopher Ames.
Thanks, Doug, and good morning, everyone. Russell Sage College is delighted to formalize this creative partnership with Sponsor a Scholar because we recognize that our two organizations share a common mission of removing obstacles to college education while promoting access and inclusivity. The tie between family income and the likelihood of college graduation and attendance is one of the most pressing social problems of our time. Sponsor a Scholar recognizes that addressing this problem begins long before the time of college application, and they recognize the importance of mentorship and guidance in treating promising young students as individuals of tremendous potential. So Russell Sage is partnering with Sponsor a Scholar to enhance the enrichment programming that we can offer to the next generation of college students. I'd like to particularly thank our Vice President for Enrollment, Tom Nesbitt, and our Assistant Provost for Grants and Community Relations, Kim Fredericks, for developing a far-reaching and ambitious agreement which will help both organizations serve our students better. Russell Sage's commitment to educational access is reflected in our recognition by U.S. News and World Report as being a top college for social mobility, ranking 8th in the nation out of 389 colleges in that regard. While that national recognition is of course important to us, it does not diminish our dedication to serving the Capital Region directly and the importance of our communities, especially the engagement with Schenectady and Albany and Troy in this program and others. Those communities are extremely important for Russell Sage College, and it's reflected by the fact that we have campuses in both Albany and Troy. So Russell Sage College looks forward to seeing this partnership flourish to the benefit of generations of students in the Capital Region. Thank you, and I'll turn things back to Doug.
All right, thank you. I'd now like to introduce Laura Marks, Executive Director of Capital Region Sponsor a Scholar.
Good morning. We're really excited to be here and to announce this partnership today. So here at Capital Region Sponsor a Scholar, we have a 24-year history of working with under-resourced students in the Capital Region. We believe that through opening doors to higher education, not only will we have a deep impact in each student's life, but also the lives of their families and the community. Through our programming, we are breaking down the barriers and creating equal access to higher education and making long-term systemic change. Students may choose different paths after high school, but we believe that every student should have the opportunity to choose which path is best for them. So it's partnerships like the one that we're entering with Russell Sage College that will help to provide our current students, as well as those yet to come, the opportunities to achieve their goals of a higher education by increasing the skill sets and developing their confidence and sense of belonging on a college campus. Ronell Royal is a 2019 graduate of Albany High School. He completed our Pathways to College program and is now a second semester sophomore at Russell Sage College. We continue to meet with Ronell at the end of every semester to celebrate his accomplishments and provide any needed guidance or resources to continue so that he can continue on his path to a college degree. Ronell is very proud that he made the Dean's List last semester, and we're very proud of him as well, especially during such trying circumstances. So let's hear a little bit more from Ronell about how his experience of going through the Sponsor a Scholar program and now a student at Russell Sage College has helped him. Ronell, take it away.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, everyone. My name is Ronell Royal. I am a Capital Region Sponsor Scholar alumni and a sophomore at Russell Sage College, currently in the sports management program. So I'm just going to talk about my experience with Sponsor Scholar, because Sponsor Scholar, just like HEOP and college, is opportunity for me. So I'll just jump in. So I never heard of Sponsor Scholar until I had the chance to get into the program. Mr. Anderson, who was a counselor at Albany High School, he called me one day out of class and told me about the program. And it seemed really cool. It seemed like a great opportunity. I wasn't even thinking about college of like my freshman year of high school, because I'm like 14 years old and I wasn't thinking about that. So the way the program like was to me, it was, like I said before, it was an opportunity, not only financially, but it gave me resources, helped me build relationships out of high school. I still talk to a couple Sponsor Scholar alumni as well. And the things that the program provided included homework sessions where they had tutors for like different subjects such as math, English, history, science, like the 4 core subjects basically. And then we had college trips, which although I didn't visit Sage, I'm glad I chose Sage because it provided me with, the HEOP program. And like I said before, HEOP, Sponsor Scholar, they're both opportunities that they gave me. And I'm very grateful for that. And I take advantage of both of those opportunities every day. That's all the words I have to say. And I'm just really excited about this partnership with both the things I'm involved with. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, Ronell. We really appreciate your insight on that. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward. President Ames and Laura Marks will now officially sign the Memorandum of Understanding. Okay. Thank you both very much.
Making it official.
It's great to finally be official here. We're now in the part of our program where the floor is open for questions. I have a couple of questions to start. First of all, from both President Ames and also from Laura Marks, what will be your first project? Laura, if you'd like to start with that.
Sure. So we've already gotten started on some of this, and everyone at Russell Sage has been wonderful to work with, and we are looking at creating a leadership certificate program. It will officially kick off in the fall, but we are looking at what we can initiate even starting as early as within the next month or so through our after-school sessions that our scholars are required to attend. At each one of the schools, we have the opportunity to bring in some of the education components from Russell Sage into these, which would end up after scholars in our program for 3 years being part of the certificate that they receive as getting additional education, lessons, skill building, workshops, everything that they need, which will really help them be successful once they're in college. So that's going to be our first project, and we're already well on our way.
Sure, and Laura's right. That's the first thing, and we are starting it up in fall. I think there are great opportunities for it. I mean, there are opportunities for our faculty to participate, for even people from our trustees to talk about different career paths and alums. Ronell indicated there are a variety of things that students get out of the program. Some of that are the so-called soft skills, the things that just help you in personal relations and business relations and study skills, and make the whole process of being a success as a student and being successful in life more accessible. And Ronell also mentioned, there is a strong connection between the ethos of Sponsor a Scholar and the same thing with the higher education opportunity programs, and the opportunity for people who are seniors now in the program to be looking at HEOP scholarship and support possibilities at Russell Sage College for this fall is very much on the front burner too.
Great, Laura, I have another question for you. Do you have any scholars interested in attending Russell Sage College at the moment?
We do. We have about 10 scholars right now out of our 28 who are graduating this spring, who are somewhere within the application process. So either they've already applied, some have been accepted, or some are just completing their applications. So we had the opportunity during one of these after school sessions a month or so back where we had people from Russell Sage come to one of these sessions virtually and talk about the college and the opportunities that are available. So that was a really nice fit about how we could encourage our students that if Russell Sage is right for them, then they should put an application. At the end of one of our after school sessions just this week, one of the scholars was really happy to announce, she said, I want to go to Russell Sage. So we're going to see if we can make that happen.
Great, Laura, I have another question for you. Certainly, educational institutions have had to pivot during the pandemic. How has Sponsor a Scholar addressed those concerns?
Yeah, and like all of the education, everything has gone virtual. Our required after school sessions are now being done virtually. It's hard for the students because they're on all day long, this virtual environment, Zoom or Google Meets, and we're asking them to spend another hour with us. So we've really tried to take the opportunity to bring in outside speakers to bring things to them that they may not have access to otherwise. So in some ways, it's really created opportunities to expand their focus. We have not been able to do our on-campus tours that we've done with students in the past, and those have been virtually as well. So a big component of our program is also mentoring. Each scholar is matched with an adult mentor to really help them on that path to college or higher education. And so that has been done virtually as well. So our program components are all there. They're just being done a little bit differently as with most of the rest of the world, education or not.
Sure. One additional question for both of you. Certainly the country is facing a lot of economic uncertainty. Why do you think that college is an important decision for students at this point?
Sure. Well, first of all, there's just a ton of evidence, if you talk about simple economics, that in times of higher unemployment, in times of economic downturn, that people with college degrees experience much less displacement than people who don't have that kind of certification. That's part of the overall fact that having a college degree opens a lot of doors to you that simply aren't open otherwise. It's also true, and this would affect graduate programs as well. I know that's not what we're focusing on here. At times when unemployment is high and those kinds of cycles, it's often the perfect time to be getting training. If you are underemployed or lose a job, people often turn to graduate programs. Of course, Sage has about half of our students are in the graduate level, so that during a period of time, you are actually getting yourself in a good position to do well when employment resumes. And so for people who just happen to be in this generation, I mean, I feel for what you were saying, Laura, the people who are in high school, their senior year, and there are no senior activities and everything's happening through Zoom. But for people who are coming to college here, as hopefully we're going to be getting back into being able to have regular gatherings in the classroom as things become safer, but there still may be a down economy. It actually may be a really useful and interesting time to be in college. We've been through a tremendous change. I think for people who are, Renelle's age, people will be asking you 20 or 30 years what it was like, during the great pandemic. And there are lessons to be learned, and college is a great place to be, when it is a kind of difficult and convulsive time in society as a whole.
Absolutely. And, hopefully the pandemic will not last forever. And so while it's a temporary circumstance, we need long-term solutions to that. and still continuing reaching your goals and going to college or whatever higher education choice our scholars want to make. We want to support them in that, and we really want to encourage them along that path, because hopefully, you know, in another year this will pass, and you know, choosing to do something after high school is really important. And for us, it's, you know, there have been some difficulties financially, even for our scholars who are currently in college. And really what we say to them is, like, what choice do you want to make? And really breaking it down to that. And if they say they want to be in college and they want to continue on that path, then we work with them to make that happen. So pandemic or not, that's really what the important message is here. It's about planning for your future.
Laura, I have a follow-up to what you just said. You talked about, you know, the support you have for students. How do you follow through with them once they enter college?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the really unique things about our program is we're not just high school. We are continuing to work with students while they're in college. We and part of the incentive for the student is we provide a $750 stipend at the end of every successful semester. So that means getting a 2.0 or greater and taking a full course load. So we set up biannual meetings and we talk about what their successes are and then what their challenges and struggles are, and we can point them in the right direction. So sometimes they don't know what resources may be available on a college campus. They don't know how to advocate themselves and talk to a professor in a class that they're struggling. And we can provide them with all of those things that they may not know how to access on their own. And sometimes college students will have that from their families. But in our case, over 60% of our students are first generation to college. So their families often don't understand that process or know how to point their child in the right direction. And so, you know, the college has this resource on the outside that's continuing to work with the scholars so that they can graduate in 4 years or maybe a little bit longer. But that's really our goal, is to continue to have them supported, and then also to create those networks for them, maybe help them gain internships, and just provide a wealth of resources that may not otherwise be available to them.
Great. I have a question for you, President Ames. Could you tell us a little more about Russell Sage College's HEOP program and how it benefits students?
Sure, it's a terrific program. We've had great success with it. It is a state-sponsored program in New York State, and it's available at many colleges. Russell Sage College has been involved with it for years. It provides very significant scholarship aid and academic support to students who qualify. And these are students who show a very large amount of talent and drive that's not necessarily reflected in their high school records, who might not otherwise be broadly admissible to college, but have clearly shown their likelihood for success. So it provides state-sponsored aid that can be used against the cost of tuition and room and board. But I think more importantly, once, even before the student arrives, there is special support programming designated for the students. They become a kind of community themselves with academic tutors who work with them. They take some courses in the summer before the college year starts. So when other students are first arriving and getting acquainted, they've had a successful experience in the classroom. They already know a cadre of people. And what we found is not only are the students who are in that program more successful at graduating than students as a whole, but many of them actually become student leaders on the campus. We have a couple years ago, when we had separate student body presidents on our Troy and Albany campuses, they were both HEOP students, really taking and stepping up and being leaders because they recognize that they've gotten an extraordinary opportunity through the program, and they think very consciously about what they can do in return for the community at Sage. So it's something that is great for the students, but Sage really profits from it as well in terms of how it enriches our community.
Thank you. I have another question for Laura Marks. There could be thousands of students in the Capital District who would be a good fit for this program. How does Sponsor a Scholar actually connect with students?
So we are in Troy, Albany, and Schenectady high schools, and we have academic coordinators in each school who are actually full-time school counselors that work for the district, and we pay them an additional stipend to run our program within the schools. And so they, under normal circumstances, they see the students in the buildings, they get teacher recommendations, there is an application process. So they help to identify students who would be, the program would be a good fit for them. All of our students have to qualify for the federal free and reduced lunch guidelines. And then typically it's B average students. So it's not those students who are going to excel on their own. It's really the students who need a little bit of extra support academically, as well as socially and emotionally to help them flourish and really reach their goal of a college education. The student themselves needs to want to go to college, and the family should be supportive of that decision as well.
Great, thank you. That ends our questions. Is there anything you would like to say in closing, President Ames?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Ronell for being here. I appreciate you being able to speak to your experience in both of our programs. Again, I think this is what we're addressing here is something that has a really broad social importance, but it ultimately happens student by student. And so we are working, one by one to increase the success of students in graduating from high school and attending college and in getting the most from their college experience. And I think it connects us on an individual level with something that is really important. So I'm excited about the potential we have to develop more and more creative programming that strengthens the experience people have in Sponsor a Scholar and gets us even more involved with the program.
Thank you. Laura Marks, is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, exactly what President Ames just said. This is really just the beginning. And there's so much potential and so many things that we can do together that I'm really excited to see this just grow and flourish and how we can truly help the students as well as the communities.
Well, I want to thank all of our panelists today and anyone who has been listening. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to set up interviews. We also will be sending out a press release after the event. And again, this program is available through a recording. I'm more than happy to share that with anyone who's on the line. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.